Title: Souls of the Delta. Chapter 1: The Return. Adaora Ikedi hadn't set foot in Delta State since she left for university in Lagos 10 years ago. Now, she found herself on the dusty road back home, looking over the rolling expanse of the Delta swamps and mangroves as memories flooded her mind. Her father, Chief Ikedi, had been the village historian and a man revered by the community. His sudden death had been ruled a heart attack, but something gnawed at Adaora. He had been healthy, a man with no history of heart conditions. More than that, the locals whispered of shadows and spirits, of a darkness she had not yet begun to understand. Her return stirred mixed emotions among the villagers. Some greeted her with warm, but wary smiles, while others, especially the elders, looked at her with something close to fear. As she arrived at her father's house, her aunt, a jittery woman who always wore a rosary, took her aside. "Ada, your father did not die of natural causes," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "There are dark things here, things best left buried." But Adaora was determined. A journalist to her core, she wasn't about to let rumors and old superstitions keep her from uncovering the truth. Chapter 2: The Ritual. As she went through her father's belongings, she discovered a stack of notes, scribbled in his handwriting. They detailed local legends and rituals she barely remembered from childhood, tales of the Adaora Ebe, the river spirits believed to govern the waterways of the Delta. One entry spoke of an ancient curse, a pact made by a desperate village chief centuries ago in exchange for protection from an invading tribe. The spirits granted the village peace, but they demanded tribute every generation. The more she read, the more she felt her father's notes were leading her somewhere. One night, she woke to find a strange man outside her window. She chased him, but he disappeared into the dense mangroves. The next day, she asked around, but no one had seen him, or so they claimed. Later that evening, she heard whispers of rituals held under the full moon, of elders who went to the river and returned different. Chapter 3: The Elder's Secret. With mounting tension, Adaora began to investigate the village elders, especially the enigmatic Chief Obiora, who had been her father's closest friend. Her father's notes suggested that Chief Obiora knew more than he let on. One night, she followed him as he headed toward the riverbank. Hidden behind reeds, she watched in horror as he chanted ancient words and cast offerings into the water. As he performed the ritual, the river bubbled and frothed, and Adaora could have sworn she saw shadowy figures emerging from beneath the surface. The following day, she confronted Chief Obiora, who laughed coldly. "This is not Lagos, Adaora. Here, the old ways are alive," he said ominously. "Your father tried to break the curse. He should have left things as they were." Chief Obiora's chilling words weighed on her. But then, a note appeared at her doorstep. Scrawled in shaky handwriting, it read, "They're watching. Meet me at the old church at midnight." Chapter 4: The Midnight Meeting. At midnight, Adaora went to the abandoned church on the outskirts of the village. Her contact was an old fisherman, Emeka, who had known her father. He told her a chilling story. The elders were protecting themselves by offering young lives to the spirits. The last sacrifice had been her father, who had tried to stop the ritual. "The curse is real, Adaora," Emeka said, voice trembling. "If they don't give the spirits what they want, the entire village will suffer." Determined, Adaora resolved to end the elders' power. But before she could ask more questions, a loud bang echoed through the church. Emeka fell to the ground, a bullet in his chest, his eyes wide with horror. She looked up to see Chief Obiora and his men standing in the doorway, guns drawn. She escaped into the night, the elders' warning ringing in her ears. Chapter 5: The Final Confrontation. Over the next few days, Adaora was hunted through the dense forest and swamps of the Delta. Each day, she came across dark signs, effigies hanging from trees, blood-streaked stones along the river. She began to suspect that the spirits weren't merely folklore, they were real. Worse, they seemed bound to Chief Obiora and the elders, acting as their guardians. On the night of the full moon, Adaora returned to the river, armed with nothing but her father's journal and a resolve to break the curse. She confronted Chief Obiora at the ritual site. As she recited the words from her father's notes, the river began to churn, and dark figures rose, eyes glowing like embers. The pact is over. Adaora screamed. Chief Obiora laughed, but his face paled as the spirits turned toward him. No. I gave you everything, he cried. The spirits, ancient and vengeful, descended on him and his followers. In a terrible moment of reckoning, they vanished, leaving nothing but silence. Epilogue, breaking the chains. As dawn broke over the delta, the curse was lifted. The villagers began to wake, as though from a long nightmare. Adaora, exhausted and shaken, walked back toward her father's home, realizing she had freed not only herself but an entire community shackled by generations of fear and control. As she left Delta State months later, she glanced back one last time, feeling both sadness and peace. Her father's spirit, and the souls of the Delta, could finally rest. Ending note: the spirits may sleep again, but the legacy of the Delta remains, echoing in the waters and whispered in the mangroves, a reminder of the thin veil between the seen and unseen in the heart of Nigeria.